Okay, setting up our live stream here. So exciting. This is one of my most favorite things to do, especially when I have one of my most favorite people on Let's Talk. This new series that I literally decided to do a couple of weeks ago. And I'm so blessed and honored that my dear friend Jackie, also known as in the author circles as Jacqueline Cioffa, so she's so fancy with her full name. Thank you for being here, Jackie.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I know I'm already making you laugh and we haven't even started yet, really, officially. So I'm going to share a little bit about Jackie with everyone so that you know who she is. And you can look at her and see she's got this dynamic presence. She's got that fiery red hair. She's got those bold glasses. She's got her fun, energetic jewelry going on. So she's got her own vibe, her own jam, and her own way of being and thinking and expressing herself, which is part of why I love her so much. Now, what you may not know about Jackie is she was also an international model for 20 years. Yes, she was. And I've seen some of her photos that were just absolutely stunning. And I must say, her present day photos are equally as stunning. So it's not just about being young and thin and perfect. It's about being whatever age you are and owning it and being 1000% in your skin and in your power. So that comes through so beautifully. She's now in Auburn, New York, that is. And she is writing books. And that's part of the reason why we're here is we're going to be talking about, the original thought was to talk about her book, The Shape of Us, right here. And you can see all my little tabs on there. It's a celebration of women. And I really featured this book coming off of Mother's Day and an event that I did here in Delray Beach, Florida, honoring women, not just mothers. You know, Mother's Day, yes, we're honoring our mothers. I think that needs to be 365 days a year, not just one. But it's also, in my opinion, about honoring how we mother ourselves and each other. And as women, I think we're wired to be nurturers and caretakers, and it just is second nature. So that was kind of my thought process behind featuring Jackie's work this past week. But then I also remembered she wrote another really beautiful book, The Red Bench. And when I realized it was Mental Health Awareness Month, The Red Bench ties into her mental health journey. And so it's so perfectly timed and poignant that we're going to be talking a little bit about that, because I think also in the current climate of our world, people, there are people in all different phases of joy. There are some that are, in this blissful state, and there are some who don't know how to access that anymore. Like, they don't even know what that is. And I was looking back at the write-up that I had from a podcast that Jackie and I recorded at the very beginning of my Soulful Sessions and Karmic Kindness career. I'm going to link it in the description for anyone who's interested. But we were talking about micro moments of joy. And I thought, wow, it's, 3 years later, hard to believe. And, how do we find and access those micro moments of joy when we're not feeling mentally healthy, when we're not feeling as women appreciated, and we're feeling like we're being held down and our power is being stripped from us. So Jackie, I want to start on a happy high note here. And I'd like for you, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit, to speak to a micro moment of joy that you've had recently.
This right now, seeing your face, being with you. We were talking about it previously, but you have inspired me tenfold with your choices as a woman, as an intuitive, as an empath, and as an independent woman, and as a mother who is mothering herself. That's huge. And to see you in your joy gives me hope that I'll find mine again.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a little slim, but there are minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Micro minutes.
Micro minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Micro minutes. Hey, that's better than a micro moment.
Yeah, exactly.
You're moving up.
And we just keep, you know, stringing them along. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is a good point. It's like, it's just about you have that moment, and that stretches out to a minute, and then those minutes turn into hours, and those hours turn into days, and you just ride the wave, and not every moment is going to be joyful. It's just not. And can we accept those not as joyful moments as part of the experience that might be encouraging us to take a little time to go within and to soften into ourselves? Maybe it's shifting us out of our own head and the bullshit that flies around in there, and allows us to look around us, to take a moment in of gratitude, or to lend a helping hand to somebody that needs it in that moment, just distracting ourselves from, yeah.
Totally. I think, we haven't spoken since the pandemic started, and I think a lot of people are feeling the isolation. And women, what I've noticed is you either grow and you go bigger, or people are getting angry or smaller. So you have two choices with everything that's happening. And I've always celebrated women because I think they're fucking phenomenal. I've tried to be a good example. You spoke about modeling, but I really never saw myself like that. I just see myself as Jackie, who's like happy to see other women succeeding. And that is another thing that has been really not okay. Women are attacking each other, and we need to stop that, because that energy is so not useful.
Yeah.
And I wrote The Shape of Us for my mom, and I thought, oh, a bunch of essays, maybe she'll like it for her birthday. And then I quickly realized it's a universal theme. You talked about being worthy. Like, how is it that we find our worth, that we live in our worth, that we allow ourselves to? Because everybody beats themselves up. But I think just to stretch yourself into the micro moments of joy, even if it's the most simple, being outside, walking in the grass, being with the dog, crystals, I love my crystals. All of those things replenish. And that's huge. Just call a friend and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're rocking it. Instead of, this is a lesson I'm telling myself. Stop internalizing and stop going inward. It's okay to need help, and it's okay. And, it's funny because we're talking about mental health and being a woman. Boy, right now we need all the help we can get just to celebrate each other.
Yeah. I could not agree more. And, it's so beautiful that we're having this conversation today, because earlier today, I was at a networking event for a women's entrepreneurial group that I'm a member of, called Fem City. And I've had kind of a mixed experience within the groups. There's 4 of them here in the South Florida region.
Wow.
And they're very different vibes, no matter where you go. So if you're Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Boca del Rey, or the West Palm Beach, Palm Beaches area. And I went up to the Fem City chapter of the Palm Beaches today. It was an hour drive. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I left today. And I was so taken by the women in this group, more than I have any other meeting. And I, not to diminish the other ones and the other women I've met, they've been phenomenal. But this group today, what I loved about them was that they were literally, genuinely from the heart, cheering everyone on, not just their friends. It was the new people. It was very welcoming. It was very, just nurturing. It just felt really, really wonderful.
It's empowering.
And
And that's
Yeah,
what we need. And that's awesome that you had that experience. It's so
exactly.
nice.
And I think it speaks to your point of lifting each other up and being there for one another. And I meet coaches all the time, some that do similar work to me, some that do different work than I do. And there sometimes you can get this feeling like, oh, they're doing this little arm's length thing because they're afraid that I'm gonna. And I look at it like, you know what, I don't take on every client that comes to me. I don't take on everyone. And I might have someone that finds me, but they need me to put me in touch with them.
Right.
And so there's plenty of business and connection for everyone. And I love getting to know other coaches because we also learn from one another. That's like kind of one of my taglines, we learn from one another. They may have an approach, or they may have like a pricing structure, even to just kind of go into the nuts and bolts of it, that I'm like, wow,
that makes
really
sense.
great. Yeah. Do you mind if right. So I agree with you. I think it's shifting. It feels like it's shifting a bit, slowly but surely. I think having this conversation is very helpful for people who may feel the same way, but are fearful or scared, to hear that, okay, yeah, that feeling I have, like to open myself up, that's valid.
I think
true.
Everyone is bursting. And we're all bursting. We need social connection. We need other people. And we're all sort of trying to find our way. And we're like little fish swimming. And sometimes you go with the current, and sometimes you got to go against it. And as a woman, I just get so tired and frustrated of beating myself up in the same exact way. Like, it's so stupid. It's just stupid. Like, you think you learn the lesson. And I think through my writing, I have been able to, I hope, help other people say, look, I'm screwed up. I'm vulnerable. I'm messy. I'm not a normal human being. I have lots of issues, but I'm here and I'm willing to try, and I'd love to, I can't help everyone, but if you need something, I'll try. Yeah. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Is try. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes it's not even something big you have to do. It's like I think you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it's when we were talking before recording and going live, or if it was in this conversation, about just sending a quick message to someone. Like, and I know you do that for me oftentimes on social, like you'll make a comment or you'll DM me. And, I love that. Like, that makes me feel like, okay, yes, I'm going to keep going, or like just makes me feel loved and seen and appreciated.
I see you, I hear you. And that's the thing. It's like all we want. We're all 5-year-olds running around just saying, please, someone validate that I'm existing. I'm here around. Sometimes I don't even know, I'm like, am I really here? I must be.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay.
We're here. It's funny how the world works, and how I have been helping my mom. She's been ill, so it's been the challenges of the last year have been very, very difficult for me.
Yeah.
And we have our triggers, and we have our things, and we fight. The love is there, and I keep praying to God to give me the strength to quietly find my way, to go inward, to what's my purpose, and I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. And the problem with that is being a wild child who was privileged, who was a model, who did have, lots of money and lots of freedom, and who traveled the world. I was spoiled, and I miss that. I'm wild. I want to travel. I want to explore. I want to see the world. I want to have experiences, and I think women are magic. I really do. I mean, I think men are like whatever, and I don't mean that in a bad way. They're great, and I met some stellar, amazing men, but women we are born to be nurturers and to take care not just of ourselves or other people, but of the planet, of the world. And it's, you know, it's a lot of responsibility. So if I can, I'm gonna say, hey, you're doing a good job, because I think that's important, because I need to hear it just as much as anyone else does. And you can tell yourself, and you just keep telling yourself over and over, and eventually good things come and they shift, and they, you know, and I just, the amount of negativity on social media that you've seen, probably that I've seen, it's wasted.
Yeah.
It's wasted where we can help each other.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I think that's, you know, part of it is, you know, I know a lot of women, particularly business owners, we have this love-hate relationship with social media. And what I have found is that I think with most things, you get what you put into it, with a caveat of, you can't control all of these external forces. So what I've noticed, at least for myself, that what I do is that I am very discerning as to where I place my attention and my energy. And I follow my own internal guidance. I just talked about this earlier today with the women at that luncheon, is that I'm not posting based on an algorithm. I'm not posting to boost my numbers or to make a sale. I'm posting to hopefully inspire, connect, and offer that soft space for someone to land who's having a really tough fucking day.
Right.
And that's it. And, you know, I think if we all went about our social media engagement from a heart-centered and heart-forward place, the whole dynamic and energy of the platform would shift and change.
But that, you can take that even farther and say, if we did that in our lives,
yes,
the whole dynamic of life and the universe would shift and change.
Yeah. Amen, sister. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
So
true.
So basic.
Yeah. It's so hard for some reason for people, you know?
Yeah. Isn't that the trick though? It's the trick.
It just makes no sense to me. So I want to share a couple of little excerpts. Actually, this very first one is so perfect for what we were talking about. So this is actually from another one. It's in The Shape of Us, but it's from another one of Jackie's books. I think, no, this was The Vast Landscape. Was that your first?
Yes.
That's the first. Georgia Pine was next.
That's my first.
Yes. The Vast Landscape, I would recommend all of Jackie's books, but The Vast Landscape, to me, I don't want to give away much. Yes. Although I had the original.
You have the original, yeah.
Yeah. Is that it's this beautifully written tome. Like, I totally wanted to be the main character of the book, but when you learn more, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, that was not what I thought. So it's, you know, it's a mind bender book. So I don't want to share too much, but because I kind of feel like there's the main character and then there's the main character. It's their, yeah. So at any rate, it's from the back.
That would be the bipolar main character.
Yeah, that's Jackie in the pages. Okay, so here's the quote from The Vast Landscape, which is in The Shape of Us. She prays cruelty learns from compassion. She hopes time has made Earth a softer, more malleable place to visit. Shame and fear obliterated. Life colored with happy minutes. I mean, I think that so beautifully sums up what we were just talking about.
Thank you.
So yeah. And it's so true. You know, I may read that one on social. I've been reading some of Jackie's work on there, and I've heard from a number of people that have really enjoyed that. So that may be what's coming up this weekend.
I'm very happy. There's a micro moment of joy.
There we go. Yay. Hopefully that was a micro moment for somebody else too. And here's one more quote. This is from Georgia Pine. So the kind of the second book there. Let's see. There we go. I have that exactly.
I love this one.
Yeah. Great book. We are all disabled, broken parts, lost individuals trying to find our way. Truth is what you know, here and happening now. There is only love, and love is the bravest character of all. It feels to me like we're all brave characters just by being here.
Absolutely.
And what really strikes me about this too is, anything that speaks about truth really resonates with me. I even changed my middle name to the Sanskrit word satya for truth, because it's not just about being truthful with people. It's about knowing your truth, standing in your truth,
walking
living. Yes.
Walking in it. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a really big powerhouse of a word. And so whenever I see that in any context, truth is what you know. And I think the way I receive those words is like, it's not this like mental knowing, it's this inner, I know this.
It's guttural.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in your gut. You know it. It's instinctual.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if your outside circumstances are opposite what that internal truth detector is telling you, and I think
there's no bullshit. It's the no bullshit meter,
Yes. For sure. Hang on, I got to plug myself in. I can't believe I forgot to do that earlier. All right. And then there's one more quote that I want to share from The Shape of Us too, which I think also speaks to, I think where we're going to meander to next, and also ties into, at the time of this live, is we're in the midst of eclipse season, and we have a total lunar eclipse happening a few days from now in Scorpio. Scorpio is this watery, deep, intense, passionate energy. And with a full moon, anytime you have a full moon, and particularly with an eclipse, it's a letting go. It's this shining a light. And even though it's an eclipse and there's the darkness, it's bringing those dark places to light for you to let go and release. It's also a culmination. So we've got a completion of some kind, but the completion can't really happen until you move something out of the way for the new to come in. So this quote, I think, speaks to that energy, as well as what all of us do our best to do every day. I'm learning to let go of who and what no longer fits. And suddenly, like magic, I'm surrounded by good, caring people. I am learning. We're learning.
Every day. And you start over. It's like a reset.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity for growth every day. But I don't think you get it all right. If you're not even everyone's carrying that. If you're an empath and you feel all of this energy and, and you have the other things, the worthiness that you don't really totally believe in, and the vulnerability that you don't allow yourself because you don't want to show people. It's funny because once you show it, and for me, writing is effortless in that way. It's like a magnet. And I'm sure you find that in your practice. Once you guide people, then your circle gets bigger. And it's this magical thing. It's hard to be human. Pink said it better than I have, but it's hard to be human. So we're learning. Yeah.
Always learning. And I'd like to add to what you were saying too about I see it kind of as a ripple effect, the kindness, the compassion, and the letting go of what no longer fits. And sometimes that's people, sometimes it can be things as well, but the people, some of us, me for sure, am included in this list. That is hard. It is really, really
Really
hard. And
hard.
I'm not talking about letting go of people who have transitioned. It's letting go of people and relationships that are still here that no longer fit who you are, that no longer get you or you get them, but you can let them go with love. You can,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think that's where a lot of us get tripped up too, is that you feel like there's got to be some major thing that happens. And then it's like you can point to, well, they did this, and so they're out.
Right.
When,
Or it's the other thing. What happens with me sometimes is, what did I do wrong? Like,
ah,
why is this person no longer available or in my life? Like, what did I, and again, I don't know if that's a woman thing where we do that to ourselves, but yeah, I absolutely agree with you. You
yeah,
can let go with love.
yeah.
And it's so powerful and freeing when you do it. It's like, fuck yeah, goodbye,
Yeah,
next. And it's okay. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't harbor any ill will.
yeah.
You just
And
don't fit. You don't fit. I don't have enough room in my box, my toolbox.
well, I feel like I did that with my marriage. That we went through a lot of roller coasters of emotions, and trust me, I went into the blame game big time. Could not take responsibility for my actions and for my role in the dissolution of the relationship. But I got to that point where I felt like I just have to let this go with love. There's no room in me for blame anymore. There's no space for this feeling of ick. That's the best way.
Yeah, it's it's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah,
And it's so, I commend you for doing it, because it's not easy. And you shared a whole life, not to get into it, but you have children. So it ties you, you're bound. And
yeah.
for me, getting out of my marriage was a little bit easier. I didn't have kids, and it was still ick. It's just the ick.
It is. It is.
But that's okay.
I'm writing a book about the disentanglement process, and my intention in sharing the story is to shine a light on how you can do it differently. It doesn't, particularly when there is infidelity as part of the story, because we have this mindset of like, well, he cheated, so he's a dick. So of course, like F him. Well, no, I mean, there's so much more to that story than just that one piece, so much more to it. And my intention with this book is to share with people that neither of us was perfect. We both made mistakes. We both did the best that we could. And that there's this bigger picture plan that's at place that you don't necessarily see, particularly when you're in pain and you're hurting, that is going on behind the scenes. And as time went on, I was able to access that place of understanding. And I think was where I was truly able to let go of love and see that we had to come together, that there is and was this beautiful love there. And we brought these four amazing human beings to this planet, and they are here to do great things. And when I say great things, I don't mean like,
oh my God, they're amazing and they will do great things. And yeah, you can say that, you can be proud. And that's probably the biggest gift you'll give anyone, is life, and then letting that life go.
yeah,
And letting them find their way.
yes,
And that's what I was saying before, is as a woman, it could be taken as very selfish to leave. You know how that is, that whole
yeah,
shame game.
yeah,
So I commend you for having the courage, because it takes a lot of courage.
yeah. It definitely does. Definitely
And
does.
you're living a whole new life, and you're finding many more micro moments of joy.
I would say my life, that part of my life was really so beautiful. I mean, there were so many, I was blessed in so many ways. And in this phase of my life, the blessings are so huge and so abundant that I'm almost like, whoa,
That's
what,
great. I
you
mean,
know? Yeah.
hello, like that's when you're in sync and you're listening, like you said, to the universe. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be big things.
Mm-mm. You know what? One of my most blissful and my micro moment of joy that I start every day with is that I just love and savor is my cappuccino that I start every day with.
Nice.
And it's not even fully caffeinated. It's half caff. It's not even about that. It's the ritual of the coffee in my hand and the sips and if one of my dear friends, she makes the most kick-ass biscotti that you will ever have. When she sends me those and I have that with my coffee and I'm sitting on my balcony in the beautiful weather of Florida, looking at palm trees, or I've decided to walk to the beach and sit on the beach to watch a sunrise with this, I'm just like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's your moment. That's it.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
not and it's not a big thing, it costs me like a few cents. Yeah.
But I think finding the micro moments of joy in the smallest things are the ones that mean the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're the ones that we will treasure and will carry us through.
Yeah.
The next chapter or the next phase or whatever is coming.
And they're easily accessible. I think that's another piece of it
totally.
Too. So it's not like, like you could take a trip somewhere wonderful and exotic and it's just the most mind-blowingly amazing trip. But the likelihood that you're going to be able to do that again, like next month, is pretty low.
Yeah.
I think it's possible for sure, but I think on the margins.
Well, I was hoping that was going to be the way it was. I'm still waiting for my glass house in Malibu, but who knows?
Hey, you're still here. Malibu is still there.
I mean, what? Just even the fact that I'm still here dealing with what I have to deal with, it's a heavy load. And having a mental health problem. Now it's just everywhere. And this takes us into the red bench. We are living in a chaotic, very anxiety, depressive state. And it's funny, I try not to bring people down with my illness because nobody wants to listen. It's just the way it is, but it's serious, and I watched Ashley Judd, and I don't know if you saw her interview when she lost her mother to suicide. And it happened recently, and God bless that family. She said her mother's brain hurt physically and mentally. And watching her pain and having loved someone and lost someone to suicide, there's sort of reasons why I keep going. I'm not the strongest person, but I'm the most stubborn and the most tenacious, and I will fight through because God damn it, I want that next micro minute, and if somebody's out there suffering, sometimes I think, and she said it so perfectly, you have to watch the interview.
Okay.
It was so the emotion and just being seen and being heard, and having someone say, hey, you're going to be okay and you're going to make it to the next day or the next minute. It's so important. And we're failing as a society. We need to keep talking about it. As a government, a society, our clinics, all of that. And I'm very passionate, and that's why I put myself out there. It's not pleasant to say, look, I'm fucking loco. Like, it's not, it's not.
No. I mean, the way you said it was funny, so I'm sorry I laughed.
No, I think it's funny. It's funny, but I mean, I don't lead with that. I'm just Jackie.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Jackie, and I'm a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Nice to
And if I
meet you.
say something inappropriate, just let it go. Let it roll off. I have the best intentions. We're all a little bit crazy.
We all are. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
All of us. We
Yeah,
all have
totally.
crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love some of the crazy because it's the creative and it allows for these colored worlds and I can go to places where other people can't go with my
Yeah.
mind. I don't mean
Yeah.
physically because, I'm still here in Auburn. Um, but I can travel through the universe and it's a really beautiful place to be. And
Yeah.
there are beautiful people here.
Yep.
So, let's look for the micro moments.
I love what you were saying about how you can travel with your mind, in your mind. And, the red bench, there's a lot of that happening in that book. I mean, that's pretty much it. And what I think is a great reminder is, and something that we tend as adults not to do as often as we did as kids, is use our imagination. Like, I believe, and this may be my brand of crazy, but I believe that when you close your eyes and you travel somewhere, that a part of you is actually going there, that a part of you is experiencing it, and you don't have to physically leave where you are to go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we all did that more and we just had that moment where we were able to travel to some place that just warms our heart, that lights us up, that brings us the micro moment of joy. Maybe it's not even in your physical world that this is you experience it. I feel like it's so underrated, that sense of imagination and play and daydreaming.
I think people are so busy living and worrying about money and work and all of that. And I understand that's a real concern. People
Sure.
live, but we've lost our way to childhood behavior. And I mean, it's kind of sad. And I was thinking a lot about, like you had said, what are the tools that you use that can help other people suffering from mental illness? And I use a lot of music because music is healing, and a lot of movement, physicality, nature. Like you said, we don't have to, it doesn't take us if you go to a place, you can go back there in your mind, even if you don't have to physically leave your house to go there if you're not well enough.
Yeah.
Sleep, diet, nutrition. There are so many ways that we can help ourselves.
Yeah.
And I do not take those lightly or for granted. And I don't mean that I can go to some other planet, because that would just freak people out. I haven't yet, but being able to be in touch with the world on a cellular level is part of the gift and the curse. So blessed and broken, maybe, we all are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are just different levels of experience that we each have. And, I want to go into the red bench just a little bit here. And, we talk about like traveling into these different places and, finding those micro moments of joy. Along with that, I think it's also about safety, finding a place that feels safe, where you can just breathe. And that could be a micro moment of joy in just having that ability. And you mentioned in the book on page 117, it was in the chapter 3:33 p.m. and Goldberg variations. A chill creeps over my bones. I need the red bench, my safe spot. This house has grown dark and alone. And I know that seems like a little bit of a heavy quote that I chose, but I chose it to illustrate the point of, even in those moments where you feel that chill of whatever it is that's going on in your life that you feel unsettled about, And if you're in a space where you are in that moment that feels really dark and alone, there's always a place that you can go that's safe. And it may be in your mind. Now, when I was going through what I consider my dark night of the soul, that period of time that really pushes you to the brink of get off your ass, honey, and you got to do something because you're at the bottom and there's nowhere else to go but up. So you don't really have a choice. When I was in that period of time, I was searching for and looking for anything, any answers, which is ultimately what prompted me to write the book We to Me. And the one place that I would go to in my mind, and one of my teachers shared this with me, and I wish I could credit whom it was. I had a number that I was listening to online. It wasn't one that I worked with personally, but we were guided to find what I would call my sacred space. And I now have a sacred space in my home, but at the time, all I had was in my mind. And
Right.
it was a room that had a wall of windows that overlooked the ocean. And there was nothing in the room except one white leather-like chaise lounger that was super comfy. At least in my mind, felt like it was. And I wouldn't always lay on it. Sometimes I would just be in the space. But whenever I would go there in my mind, I felt a sense of peace. I felt a sense of safety. I felt like, okay, whatever is happening out here, I can handle it. Like, I just need like this moment to like center myself, to reset myself. I'm going to just look at the ocean, take in that energy, that flow, like tune back into myself. Sometimes I would sit on the floor. Like, it was just this place that I would escape to that felt really, really good. And so I guess my invitation to everyone is, Jackie had the red bench that she would venture to. Close your eyes, and where do you go? Where is that safe space for you?
And it's okay to change. It's okay for you to have many safe spaces.
Yes,
I mean,
thank you for saying.
When you were talking about your house, I was like, oh, that sounds like my house. Were you in my house? Like that's what I see. The glass house, and it's funny how you think these things need to be physical and tangible. And I've learned over the years, maybe they really don't. Maybe I have to be the safe space. I have to find the place in me that's quiet. And I'm pretty sure that's my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Just to find the serenity of the peace and keep simplifying life. Like, I don't need that much, really. I've learned that over the years. I really don't.
I wonder if that's a product of getting older. You get older and you just don't need as much stuff. I find myself like want to just simplify, just take it down to the bare bones. Although I do have a couple of areas that I have a little bit of a problem with when I purchase them, but other than that, we won't speak about those. So I have another quote that I want to share from the Red Bench that I think it's more of an excerpt. It's a little bit more lengthy, but I think it speaks to this energy of life and like the craze of it and the mad dash and the rush and the busyness and all of that is so prevalent and so universal, no matter where you live, unless you're in the jungle, and then life's very different. Although I don't really want to bathe in a river, so that's just not going to be my thing. But this is on page 71 in the chapter Fuzzy Colors. I watch the mad rush, people racing upstream. I do not fight the undercurrent. I lay back and float free. I don't try to understand or ask for the solution. I'm grateful for these precious minutes of clarity. I am life lived in the off percent, traveling between light and dark particles at equal speed. I am at the mercy of the uncharted, my mind, the world, all her own. I wonder how different am I? Do others process the same? Do they duck out and escape when things get overheated? Do they live inside dreams and feel emotions at the extreme? There's so much to that. Like, I hope people buy the book and find this excerpt and read it themselves, because I think that speaks to how you feel in your own head, but I think it also articulates how a lot of people feel in their life. And there's this sense that you were all looking for answers. We're all looking for solutions. We're all looking for the way out. And what if the way out is in?
That's exactly what I was just going to say. It's the way in.
Yeah.
And if we can cut through the external noise, you know, I find that water for me is essential. I mean, obviously we all have to drink it to live, but
Yeah.
but to just float in water,
Yeah.
everything can go quiet. And I'm no longer running with scissors, running through the day, busying, hurrying, worrying. I'm just looking for the way in.
Yeah.
And it's there because we came from the womb and it was nice and quiet and safe. So I'm not saying we need to go become infantile or less aware or not lead busy lives. We just have to find the way. I personally need to find the way to quiet, or I can't function when it gets too loud.
I wonder if that, you mentioned before nature being a great place of healing. You know, what strikes me, and I've created this for myself, and granted, I work for myself, so I do have the luxury of setting my own hours and carving out my time the way I wish. However, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that it becomes more mainstream for people to listen to their own internal compass as far as what they need. And so, for instance, if I am, you know, right now I'm frantically attempting to finish this book. I have.
What's the title? Do you have a working title?
Yes, we to me. So it's going from a we as a couple to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Thank you. So, you know, I'm frantically writing. I have client work. I have all of the other hats that I'm wearing as a solopreneur.
As a woman.
Woman doing her thing. But what I've noticed is that when I'm in this state and I am like kind of hitting my head up against a brick wall because I'm not like, it's not coming, the words aren't coming out. And I'm like, it's time for me to take a break. And I get up and I listen to what I need. Do I need to go get something to eat? Do I need to go sit on my balcony? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to lay down for 15 minutes? Do I need to go to the beach? Right. And I follow that. And it's not like I decide, okay, done for the day, I'm out, I'm not doing anything. It's just honoring what I need. And then I can come back to my laptop and be able to really accomplish what I was attempting to accomplish.
And focus. Yeah. I think there's this new trend that's become after COVID. It was before too, but the bibliophilia nature, where people are trying to integrate and bring nature into their homes.
Oh, yes.
Touching the trees and touching the grass. And that for me has always been instinctual. But like you said, if everyone would just go outside. Yeah. I mean, it sucks when you live in a cold climate and it's freezing. But yeah,
not quite the same.
No. And I have a little Lupita who is so cute. She's so cute. And she gets me outside. And that's another micro moment of joy. You know, we go for a walk. Yeah. It's nothing. But
actually, it's huge. It's so huge. It's such a simple act that has so many blessings and gifts in it.
Absolutely. And if I could have the the smallest percent of joy that little dog and optimism has, I would be the happiest freaking person on the planet. Like, I would have no problems. She's always happy. And it's just, I mean, obviously we overcomplicate everything. Like you said, you've got a million things to do. And of course you want to get them all done. But when you step back and you take the time for yourself, or you just text a friend or reach out. And, I've been doing that with one of my girlfriends. We just talk and send little silly videos, and it's just, it's nice.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean that we're gonna like have 5-hour conversations, because nobody can do that right now. But bringing the outside world in, or getting your ass off the couch or whatever you're doing and
Yeah.
go for a walk, I always feel better.
Yeah.
It's simple.
It's so true. And I love what you said about just kind of sharing fun things with a friend, because that's that playful energy. You know, that's like you, when you harken back to like your days as a child, you know, the goofy, silly things you would do and the faces you would make at each other and the little like clapping games you would play. And like, I don't know when the last time I did that was. Like, I don't even know if I'd remember them anymore. I don't know though. Maybe you would, like, once you got back into it, it might come back.
It's instinctual. It will come
Yeah.
back. And you
Yeah.
it's funny because like I wouldn't talk to her for 20 years and it doesn't matter. And we go right back into the playful, like funny. Same as you and I. Like I probably won't talk to you. It'll be 3 years, you know, not because. But I mean, you make me laugh. I appreciate you. It's just to be seen and heard and feel worthy of someone's time is a huge gift.
Yeah.
Especially when everybody's running around and doesn't have time.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, to speak to the having time, I think it's what I have noticed, you know, with my life is getting busier and busier, is that I'm discerning about my time, but I am very, very strict about carving out time for my people, you know,
That's
and
good.
it's like a non-negotiable for me. And, you know, I've got my inner circle that no matter what's going on, like I may be like, okay, give me an hour, I'll be there. But it's like, and I think that's what we also is so needed for people to know they've got their posse, they've got their tribe. And then no matter what's going on, there isn't that immediate gratification necessarily, unless it's like a life or death situation, but you know, that person's there. And, you know, I would say, let's make a pact that we don't let 3 years go by without having a conversation, because there are these micro moments of joy that like nurture us, and like they inspire, and there's a lightness and a brightness that happens from it. And it doesn't have to be 5 hours. It could be maybe 15 minutes. And that's enough, you know,
or it could be a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it probably won't be a minute, but it's
unlikely I'm too much of a talker. I'll barely get hello out in a minute, Jackie. Come on, please.
No. You got your busy girl. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, but still, yeah, I think it's just so important, you know, and I think that sense of connection, particularly if you know, if you're really having trouble, you know, with any sort of mental illness or feeling just unwell, it's so important to keep that connection and to feel like you have a lifeline, you know.
And there are people that care, and I mean, there's a suicide prevention phone number. I don't have it, but there are lifelines. There are clinics, there are groups, there are support groups. It's not everyone is lucky and has other people to help them. So just letting them know they're not alone. I think that speaks, and that someone else is going through it, you know, and it's not pretty, and it's not always ugly, and it's a hard way to have to live, and it sucks sometimes, but they're not alone, you know. And I mean, I wouldn't want to wish mental illness or depression or anxiety on my worst enemy. And I have a few people that I couldn't give a shit about, you know, but like I wouldn't, because it's not a pretty road. And we have to learn, like you read so gracefully, we have to learn how to be kind and compassionate. And I hope when I leave here, whenever that is, that's what I leave with, what I, leave here as a
Yeah.
little bit of sprinkles of kindness along the way.
Yeah. I believe that's the truth of the future. I think it's already happening. So your presence here is also important because there's more words that are going to come out of you that need to be left and sprinkled about.
And you too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to wrap up here. And what I would love for you to do is share with everyone where they can find you online, where they can find your books, and anything else that you want to, any other message you want to leave with folks.
I just want to say thank you very much to Amalia from Karmic Kindness for having me. It really was lovely. And when you reached out and bought the books for your girlfriends, it meant the world. Like, it meant the world to me. I haven't been writing for 2 years, so I had asked the universe recently, I need to get back into and sharing and giving. And so that's hopefully what I'm able to do. And you gave me that gift. So thank you. And the books are on Amazon, and I'm only really on Instagram because I can't do social media. It's too much. All the dumpsters, all that. No, I don't want any part of that. Like, sorry.
So Instagram,
my body, my choice. I'm just a woman, and I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I don't follow any of that. And if someone wants to read them, they can. And if they can't afford to, they can reach out to me.
Oh, it's awesome.
I will send a PDF, a digital file.
Nice. That's awesome. That's a great gift. Thank you. Yeah. So if you, Jackie is
Jacqueline Cioffa. It's Jacqueline Cioffa, Cioffa. Is that backwards?
Nope. I think it's good. Yeah. And your name is at the bottom, so hopefully,
we'll and that's what it is on Instagram. And if anybody needs anything, I'm there.
Yeah. Thank you, my soul sister. I love you. Appreciate you. Yeah. And thank you for being on this episode of Let's Talk, talking about women and mental health awareness and life. And let's close where we began, with micro moments of joy. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging with us. There'll be another episode of Let's Talk when inspired. Thanks again, Jackie. Mwah.